This video is going to be about prehistorical temples, the Knights of Malta, Malta museums, Malta leisure and entertainment. Though we know little of the activities that took place within these buildings, they were clearly an important communal center. The activities or rituals that took place here may have been of a religious, political, or economic nature. However, following the sudden end of the temple culture, the site was put to a very different use. During the early Bronze Age, the chambers of the Tarshan temple were used for funeral purposes. The discovery of the Tarshan temples was in 1913 by a local farmer who informed Sir Temizamit. Zammit excavated the site between 1915 and 1919. Excavation started by exposing the South Temple of the Tarshan complex, excavating the cemetery inserted into the ruins in the early Bronze Age, then continuing with the Central, East and early temples. Hajar-Im. The main building of Hajar-Im is unusual because it has several doorways facing different directions. Today you may enter the building through the southeastern doorway that faces the sea and come out through another doorway facing inland. The prehistoric site of Hajar-Im consists of a group of monumentous megalithic buildings. Similar buildings have been found in more than 20 different places in Malta and Gozo. The nearest site of Hajar-Im is that of Mnajdra, which is about 500 meters downhill to the west. It is clear that the building was not planned at a single moment, but modified and extended at different times. Mnajdra temples. As you stand in the oval forecourt outside the prehistorical structure at Mnajdra, note how the complex consists of three separate buildings. Part of the charm of Mnajdra temples lies in the fact that no modern development is visible from the site, so that it may still be appreciated in its original setting. It was first excavated a year after Hajar-Im, in 1840, and was then investigated further through various excavations over the years. Remarkable finds uncovered during these excavations include examples of clay vessels decorated with designs, flint tools, as well as a clay representation of a human head. The Knights of the Order of St. John of Jerusalem were formed long before the reign of Malta. The order was originally established in 1085 as a community of monks responsible for looking after the sick at the Hospital of St. John in Jerusalem. The knights were drawn excessively from noble families, and the order acquired vast wealth from those it required. The knights came to Malta in 1530, having been ejected from their early home. The Holy Roman Empire gave them the choice of Malta or Tripoli as a new base. Neither was their liking, but nothing they thought could be worse than Tripoli. Having chosen Malta, the knights stayed for 268 years, transforming what they called merely a rock of soft sandstone into a flourishes island with mighty defense and a capital city coveted by the great powers of Europe. The order was ruled by a Grand Master who was answerable only to the Pope. The expansion and fortification of Valletta, named for La Vallette, was begun in 1566, soon becoming the home port of one of the Mediterranean's most powerful navies. The Iceland's hospitalities were expanded as well. The main hospital could accommodate 500 patients and was renowned as one of the finest in the world. Mdina. Mdina is the old capital of Malta. Mdina is a medieval walled town situated on a hill in the center of the island. Mdina is commonly called the Silent City by natives and visitors. The town is still confined within its walls and has a population of just over 200 people. Mdina was inhabited and possibly first fortified by the Phoenicians around 700 BC. The Phoenicians called it Malet. Some places of interest that are in Mdina are St. Paul's Cathedral, Villena Palace, Norman House, St. Agatha's Chapel, St. Nicholas Chapel, Natural History Museum, Mdina Dungeons, Mdina Experience. The Roman House. The mosaic pavement of the central courtyard, which was once surrounded by a Doric peristyle, is the most representative of the whole site. The remains of this extensive, rich Roman townhouse and its mosaic pavement were discovered in 1881 during the planting of trees on the night of St. John, just outside Mdina. The remains of this townhouse was uncovered during the first session of excavation, and the importance of the find was such that a few years later a number of rooms were constructed above the remains to host what was then called the Museum of Roman Antiquities. Excavations were also carried out in the fields to the east of the domes, showing that the remains of buildings continued on the side of the road leading to the Imtarfa train station. The National Museum of Archaeology currently houses a spectacular range of artifacts dating back to Malta's Neolithic period, from the Ardalan phase up to the Tarquin phase. On display at this museum are the earliest tools used by the prehistoric people to facilitate their daily tasks, representations of animal life, and also human figures, both elements showing the great artist skills of the dwellers of the Iceland at the time, also giving us an instant of on their daily lives. Highlights include the Sleeping Lady from the Hypogeum, the venues of Malta from Hajar and the large altars from the Tartan temples. The National Museum of Archaeology presents the visitor with a good introduction to the prehistory of Malta, Iceland, and is the catalyst to the other archaeological sites in Malta. St. John's Cathedral was built by the Knights of Malta between 1573 and 1578, having been commissioned in 1572 by Grand Master John de la Cassière. St. John's Cathedral. It was built as the church for the Knights of St. John. The Grand Master and several knights donated gifts of high artistic value and made enormous contribution to enrich it with only the best work of art. During the summer season, there is a festa day practically every weekend, and no visitor to Malta should leave the islands without experiencing one. The 5-day festives include the Triduum, the eve of the feast, and the feast day itself. The celebrations revolve around the saint and his place in the village church. Besides the special church services, there are outside festives with band marches, food and drink, and spectacular fireworks display. The Malta International Fireworks Festival is an annual event organized by the Ministry for Tourism, Culture and the Environment and the Malta Tourism Authority. The Grand Harbour provides the perfect setting for this spectacular event, which takes place in April. The festival includes fireworks displays designed by foreigners, companies as well as some of the best local fireworks factories in Malta. The Island of MTV concert is the epic of a long weekend festival of live music. A magnetic of contemporary artists, the Island of MTV draws in a crowd of 50,000 people from all over Europe, making it the large free open-air concert in Europe. The Malta International Air Show. It is held annually each September at the Malta International Air Show. The Malta International Air Show is one of Malta's largest outdoor events, has gained the well-earned reputation as one of the Malta's top outdoor family events. Carnival has had an important place on the Maltese cultural calendar for just under 5 centuries, having been introduced to the island by Grand Master Piero da Pinto in 1535. It is held during the week leading up to Ash Wednesday. Carnival is most likely with children and teenagers because of the costumes and parties.